I'm Nor Azlina binti Muhammad Nayan. I will explain the FMA safety regulations, which is Factories and Machinery Regulations 1970. In Malaysia, the exposure of workplace are regulated under FMA safety regulations and more comprehensive under Occupational Safety and Health, which is OSHA. Under Factories and Machinery Regulations 1970, there are certificate competency examination, notification certificate of fitness and inspection, electric passenger and good lift, person in charge, fancy and machinery, steam boiler and unfired pressure vessel. And the last one is E1980C, which is building operations and work of engineering construction. The objectives are to prevent standard minimum requirements for the protection of worker safety and to prevent the occurrence of occupational injuries due to hazardous use and handling of machineries. The strategy protection worker tool is standard for hazardous machineries, identification and assessment of hazard and level of risk assessment, the reduction of exposure via administrative, protective personal equipment, and engineering control. And then we have provision standard for protection handling hazardous machineries. And the last one is create awareness, like giving the information about the safety to the workers and give them some training. And I will also explain about the certificates of competency examination in 1970. The objectives are to provide certificates of competency, to identify panel of examiners and the appeal board, and to list the type of examination required certificates of competency. The list of members are panel of examiners and appeal board. The panel of examiners consists deputy chief inspector, which is the chairman, and the senior inspector is deputy chairman, and also more than 2 inspectors, while the appeal board consists of chief inspector, a senior engineer of government department, and a senior officer of technical institution, college or university. There are 3 types of examination to get the certificate of competency, which are first and second grade engineer, drive master, and the last one is first and second class engineer driver. Actually, the maximum period of time the candidate may take to achieve a pass in all first prescribed first grade steam engineer examination actually is in 5 years. Upon successful completion of prescribed first grade steam engineer, they will apply certificate competencies first grade steam engineer. Next, I will explain about the fencing of machinery and safety. Fencing is actually the main purpose is to protect a hazardous area from unauthorized entry by the erection of wire or rail. And the objectives for this section is to provide specification for guard and guard cells, to list the duty and liabilities of occupiers, and the last one is to provide general conditions in fencing of machineries. The overview of this section is about the safeguarding the machinery. The dangerous parts of machinery must be guarded. Describe the method for guarding various parts of a machine. Other machinery that is not listed must also be securely fenced. And the last one is about the schedules on materials and dimensions of machinery cars. Next, we have schedule guards, which are providing the positive protection to prevent access to danger zone during operation and give no discomfort to operator, endure the law used with minimum maintenance. Actually, the purpose of guarding is to prevent contact with areas of device that could cause injury. Finally, we got here what is methods of machine safeguarding. They are guards, devices, location, feeding and ejection methods, and miscellaneous aids. What is the benefit of good guarding is to protect humans from any injury while working nearby. The guards is actually the physical barriers that prevent contact. It can be fixed or adjustable. And the devices that it prevent access to hazardous area. It can be pulled back or case. And the location one is we remove the hazard from operators work area. The feeding and ejection methods is eliminate operators exposure to the point of operation while handling the stock. And the miscellaneous aids is about to protect both operators and people in immediate vicinity of operating machinery. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Kufatina Diana binti Kufairuz Nizam. My student ID is 2019257264 and I will be your next presenter. Factory and Machinery, Electric, Passenger and Good Lift, Regulation 1970. The objective of regulation is to describe the duty of the lift owner, to describe the manner of the lift application, to detail the lift requirement before an application, and lastly is to detail the requirement in the design, construction, installation and testing of the lift. The first part is general, which is application or electric passenger and good lift. Next is lift manufacturer certificate, which is have four. The first one, a certificate which declare the design and construction of the lift. Next, a certificate which declare the design of a safety gear and the oil buffer. Then, a certificate which declare the installation of electrical part of all controller, leading door, locking device. And the lastly is a certificate which state the diameter, construction, quality and tensile braking strength of the suspension rope. The second part is design, construction, installation and test, lift loading and capacity. Every lift shall be designed and constructed to carry the contract load. The contract load shall be clearly displayed on the lift car. Passenger lift in number of person and pound, good lift in pound. Next, test. Every new lift or sustaination alter new lift shall be tested before it put into the service. Duty of the owner. The first one to ensure the maintenance of all lift. Next, to enter the agreement with an approval firm for periodic examination and maintenance of the lift. Then to inform an inspector, DOSH, of name and postal address of approved firm, date of commencement of the agreement and the date of the expiry of the agreement. Next, to keep a register of every lift on the premise where it is installed and recorded. Next, to ensure that the entry of the register is made by competent person within 1 week after the related event. Next, to repair the lift upon receipt of advice from approved firm or refer the mahir to an inspector if in doubt. And then lastly is to ensure that no material is placed on the top of the lift car. Factory and machinery, which is notification, certificate of fitness and inspection. Regulation 1970. The objective of regulation is to provide the procedure of notification on operation of factory, use of machinery, accident and industrial disease. Next, to detail type of machinery requiring certificate of fitness. Next, to describe method and procedure of inspection of machinery. Regulation 3, which is machinery requiring person in charge with certificate of competency, which are steam boiler, steam engine, and internal combustion engine and drive. Visiting engineer. The holder of an engineer certificate of competency for steam boiler and steam engine employed by an owner to make periodical visit and inspection of machine. Next, duty of visiting engineer. The first one is to make visit of inspection. Next, enter and register consisting. Submit the inspection report to the inspector not later than the 10th day of every month. Next, present at every regular inspection of the machinery and other inspection as required by the inspector. The lastly is assist an inspector in any investigation of accident connected with the machinery.
What is a steam boiler? A steam boiler is a power of a generation device used for generating steam by applying the heat energy to water. The steam boiler is made to describe the application, assumption, manufacture and importing of a steam boiler and pressure vessel. Steam boiler are also used to describe the standard conditions for the steam boiler and unfired pressure vessel. There are several conditions and requirements to use the steam boiler. So the conditions for obtaining the permission of the chief inspector before a steam boiler or unfired pressure vessel is a manufactured or imported steam boiler, and an unfired pressure vessel must comply to one of the codes listed in the various schedules. There are three type tests for the steam boiler. First is steam test. Steam test is for a new or altered steam boiler. Second is a walking test. Walking test for a new or altered unfired pressure vessel. And lastly, hydrostatic test is for all the new steam boiler and an unfired pressure vessel test, which is a test before they are put into the survey and then 7 years interval. Next, I will explain about the building operation and the work of engineering construction. The objective of the both building operation and the work of engineering construction is to identify the general requirement for all activities under the BOVAC, to detail main safety components involved in the BOVAC activities. So the interpretation of building operation is the construction, structural alteration or repair and maintenance of the building, the demolition of a building, and the preparation and the laying of the foundation of an intended building. The interpretation for the work of engineering construction is the construction of any railway line or siding, the construction, structural alteration or repair including repointing and repainting, the demolition of any dock, harbour, inlet navigation, tunnel bridge, viaduct, waterworks or gas holder. Move to the next slide. Health welfare. What is health welfare? Health welfare is a welfare for employees to take care of the health of employees. The objective of having healthcare in the construction or construction company is to provide the control of factories with respect to matters relating to the safety, health, and welfare of persons. So any person, even for the CEO, the employees, anyone, to provide for the registration and inspection of machinery and for other related matters. If I have an accident occurs in the company or in the workstation, the inspection must doing to investigate the causes of the accident occurs. What is the factor? What is the loss? How many money spent to cover all the maintenance, all the safety, all the health insurance for the employees. Now I will tell you a little bit about the Regulation 3, Regulation 4 and Regulation 5. Regulation 3, factory not to be used as a family dwelling. What does that mean? No premises or building or part of the premises used as a factory shall concurrently be used as a family dwelling. So any part of the factory or the company is not a family dwelling. It's not yours. It belongs to the company and it belongs to everyone. So unless there is no direct access from that part of the premise used as a family dwelling to the part of premise used as a factory. Regulation 4. Underground room not to be used for a factory unless for a work involving the use of the room for the purpose of a storage. Underground is insoluble for work because of the construction haze, light, ventilation, or for health reasons, and would be dangerous if in a case of fire. Regulation 5. Machinery installed on any floor above the ground floor. No installation of machinery on any floor above the ground floor unless the floor has been designed and constructed to support the load.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Natasha binti Jeffrey, and I will be explaining about the regulation of FMA safety, health, and welfare, starting with Regulation 6 until Regulation 21. So, Regulation 6, we do have floor. There are some rules that need to be followed, which are the floor should be maintained in good and non-slippery condition for safe walking, and the floor needs to be free from holes, splinters, protruding nails, protruding bars, or any kinds of pipe or any obstruction that could cause hazard to employees. Next is the floor should not be made from material that could be slippery through wear, and it also needs to be suitable drainage, which provided and need to be maintained to remove any storms of blood from the floor. So floors around all machinery should be maintained properly and free from loose material. So the next one is Regulation 7, access place of work. So the place that needs to be accessed should be provide and maintain a clear obstructed space to all machinery, permit free and ready to access to any part of the workplace, provide and maintain clear access to machines where materials or goods are stored in between, and the place should be clearly marked such ISO on the floor and no material or goods to be stacked. So the next one is Regulation 12, which is working of a height. If a person is need to be required a height of above 10 meters, they should be provided suitable equipment to ensure his safety, such as head protection, hearing protection, check pants, foot protection, harness layout, hand protection, highly visible head, vest, and pants, and last one is eye protection. The next regulation that I will be explaining is Regulation 13, which is working at confined space. So the first one is requirement for confined space. It needs to be provided with manhole, adequate means of egress, in which the hole needs to be width more than 16 inches and diameter should be more than 18 inches. The second one is only one person can only enter the confined space if all practicable steps have been taken to remove any fumes. A reliable person is stationed at the entrance to supervise the operation to take the action of any emergency. And if the test cannot be carried out, wet and efficient respiratory protective device and suitable safety belt for own safety. So the third one is requirement for respiratory protective device, reviving apparatus, belts, and ropes. So it needs to be suitable, provide and maintain ready, accessible, and the one of the important is employees needed to be trained well with and familiar with the use of respiratory protective device, reviving apparatus, and method of restoring respiration during for working at confined space. So the next one or the last one that I will be explaining is Regulation 21, Safety Provision in Case of Fire. The company or the industry should need to aware of this kind of situation and they need to prepare some of this. Like the fire exit should be applied for any floor below or above the ground floor, and the building needs to be more than 2 exits from every floor of a factory building. The doors and window can be opened outward from the room, passage or staircase, not locked or fastened, and it is also free from obstructions and marked distinctly by a notice printed in red letters so the employees can be aware where is the fire exit and anything else. So the last one is in which the occupier should ensure the employees are familiar with use of fire exits and emergency. So the employees will they escape quickly and taking actions fast.
Hi, my name is Fatin Fatiha binti S. Abdul Jalil and I will present on Regulation 23, 25, 28 and 29 in this chapter 6. I will start with Regulation 23 on cleanliness. This regulation will make sure the waste or rubbish that are collected sufficiently. The floor at least sweep, clean or wash weekly. Next, the partition, walls, ceiling or passage and the staircase are cleaned with hot water and soap to avoid any slippery. Repaint or revarnish if needed in about 7 years. More than that, use cleaning tools like vacuum cleaner to avoid dust and air contamination. Same goes with the cleaning the drains. Must equip with the appropriate device to avoid any contagious diseases. Any pesticide service must regularly check on the entrance to prevent the rodent or vermin inside the working place. Lastly, working place is for workers and shall not be home for anyone. Regulation number 25 is to provide the ventilation for any means of natural or mechanical. Air ventilation will change according every hour. Less than 10 hours will generate little heat, less than 20 hours will generate true heat, and less than 30 hours the heat we produce can cause injury. The total free area of ventilation air inlet must less than 50% of the total area of the air outlets. Move on to regulation number 28. The temperature. The machine operation will produce heat, so it is important to adequate the temperature. The building need to be built with material with high transmission, reflecting material or insulating materials. And lastly, the regulation number 29 is about lighting. The building must have higher than 10% of natural light, window or skylight that must be at suitable location. The lighting is including the emergency light that is very important for failure of general lighting. The Important passage, stairways, and exit must be equipped with this. That's all. Thank you from me.
Then we go to Regulation 32, Working Clothes, Personal Protective Clothing and Appliance. Working clothes shall be of good fit, with no loose flap or strings, loose apron, loose torn or ragged garments and neckties. Then exposed to the risk of being caught in moving parts of machinery, like key or watch chain shall not be worn. Safeguard the hair, for example by wearing a cap. Then exposed to the danger of explosion or fire. Collar, eyeshade, cap visors, for example, that are made of inflammable materials should not be worn. Next, for employees exposed to inflammable, explosive or toxic dust, clothing with pocket cuff that might collect dust should not be worn. In process where ordinary footwear is not suitable, employees shall be provided with boots, heavy shoes, or other suitable footwear. And then, in food or drink manufacturing, preparation and handling process, employees shall be provided with suitable overall and caps that are kept in good and clean condition. Still in Regulation 32, for safety helmets and goggles, well-fitted industrial safety helmets shall be worn by employees that exposed to falling or flying objects and blows on the head. Moreover, suitable goggles or effective screen should be provided to employees involved in any process, such as protect the eyes of the employees or in proximity to the process. Then we go to earplugs and screens. Employees exposed to extensive prolonged noise must be provided with suitable earplugs. It shall be cleaned daily unless discarded after each use. The device shall be kept in closed containers to protect against mechanical damage or contamination when not in use. Next, suitable ear screen shall be provided to employees exposed to the sparks, molten metal particles, or other foreign bodies. Besides, we go to protection clothing. Employees exposed to corrosive or other harmful substances shall be provided with suitable protective wear according to the nature of the substance and the risk involved. For example, liquid-proof protective suit, hoods, aprons, leggings, and gloves. Then we go to the glove. Suitable mitten, glove, or gauntlets shall be provided where process involved in handling of sharp edge, abrasive object, corrosive, harmful substances, hot metals, or other toxic, irritating, or infectious substance. Besides, all torn gloves shall be immediately replaced, and no gloves shall be worn by employees operating in drill, sponge presses, or other machine where hands or part of hands might be caught in the moving part of the machinery. We go to Regulation 32, Respiratory Protective Equipment. Firstly, suitable respiratory protective equipment shall be provided to employees exposed to the vapors, injurious gases, dust, toxic or hazardous atmosphere, and oxygen deficient atmosphere. Next, mechanical filter respirators shall not be applied when dealing with oxygen deficient atmosphere, against solvent vapors, and injurious gases. Only employees having sufficient training shall be permitted to use the oxygen breathing apparatus. Then we go to Regulation 33, Dressing Room. For dressing room, provide adequate accommodation for clothing not worn during working hours. Dressing room for street and working clothes are separate to avoid contamination and infection. Contaminated clothing shall not be worn in areas where meals are being taken. Then facilities shall be provided for workers engaged in process where their working clothes are liable to become wet have to be washed between shifts. Then, for restroom for women, every factory with more than 15 female employees at any one time must have more than one rest and dressing room shall be provided for their exclusive use. Next, every factory with lower than 15 female employees at any one time and no rest room is available, some equivalent space shall be provided and the space shall be properly screened and made suitable for the use of those employees. For Regulation 34, drinking water. Water provided for drinking shall be clean, safe and wholesome from a main pipe to or other as approved by the inspector. Water supply from other source should be kept in clearly marked vessel to indicate that it is safe for drinking. Renew daily. Take all necessary precautions to preserve from contamination. And then suitable drinking cups are provided at each supply to prohibit the use of common drinking cups. For Regulation 37, sanitary convenience. Sanitary convenience should be separate between male and female, except if the employees are members of the same family. Uh, then water shall be provided for every toilet facility where connection required. Toilet facility shall not directly communicate with the actual workplace, but open only to this section like corridors, hall, landings and courtyards. Next, every sanitary convenience shall be provided with proper lighting and ventilation system. For the last regulation, 38, first aid, first aid, prompt first aid treatment and further medical attention must be given to any injured person. Besides, no unnecessary appliance for first aid shall be kept in the first aid box or cardboard. Uh, First aid box or cardboard content is individual medicated, unmedicated sterile dressing such as small for fingers, medium for hands, and large for other parts. Adhesive wound dressing and plaster, bandage such as triangular, roller, rubber or pressure, cotton wool, splints and wool for padding, eye ointment, eye drops and individual sterile eye pads, alcoholic solution of iodine, sal volatile, blunt nose surgical scissors and safety pins.